Hello, everyone. In this series, we will introduce you to some of the concepts of socio-cultural anthropology. In fact, socio-cultural anthropology is one of the most interesting and easy modules of anthropology. And here we study what is society, what is a culture, and the various sort of socio-cultural institutions and practices of mankind. And that's across space and time. Space as in across various geographies, and time as in all the way from the past, all the way till today, present. Having a stronghold on this particular module will definitely help you maximize your scores in anthropology option. And that's not just in paper one, but in paper two as well. So on that note, let's get started. What are the features of marriage? Now, features are not necessarily your functions, okay? But marriages are characterized by a few things that you see that are consistent, okay, from society to society. So first one that you notice is that marriages are universal. Okay, the form, nature, okay, those things may vary, but it is present. So that will be your first one, right? It also satisfies certain needs. What kind of needs are they? And we've discussed this previously as well.
Sexual needs, economic needs, and emotional needs.
So you have sexual, okay, so this is, I'm going to put it as biological.
Biological.
Okay, in biological, okay, and you have psychological needs. Okay, we'll come to what it is, but let's keep that on hold for now. Economic cooperation, we looked at this particular angle as well, right? What is it? Division of labor. What is the division of labor here? See, marriage is a gateway to form your family. So whatever the family is supposed to do, okay, it is supposed to be cooperation in items of daily life, right? Okay, economic cooperation is something that we've already seen. You cannot go through, all your work has to be shared. Okay, and this we saw a very simple example of a woman being pregnant and husband not being present. That who will do the work? Who will, So we have come out with a particular way to handle it, and that is through the institution of marriage. What are the biological needs? So first thing is sexual drives. Okay, all humans are born with it. All animals are born with it, right? That sexually reproduce. Whichever ones are going to go through meiosis, right? The sexual drives is one thing. Second thing is ability to reproduce, right? So again, so children. So this is a natural, okay, almost like a predetermined genetic drive that we all have. And so an outlet for that is through your marriage. Okay. What about psychological needs? What do you have in a marriage that is provides you with psychological benefits?
Being there for each other, being supportive, things like that.
So care, taking
Caring.
care. Okay,
Care.
I'm going to mention support, of course. Okay, and then generally not going through life being lonely. Okay, and more importantly, see, this is, I don't want to write this because it's not anthro specifically, but you understand the point, right? See, the point is, see, oops. To love and be loved, okay, is a psychological and physiological. All of us, okay, the need to be loved, okay, and more so to love something, okay, is very, very important to us. And this provides you with something. What does it do? You have your husband, you have your wife, you have your children, okay, it provides you with something to love, and there is also reciprocation. Okay, so all of these things are there. Yeah. So these are the general features of marriage. It may be different in many, many ways, but it all has some common threads that you can see that I've listed out here. Now, I'm going to go through some rules of marriage, forms of marriage, right? And these are very simple questions or simple topics. All your the social institutions put together, you'll have like 2-3 questions every year. So, and it is there, okay? And maybe one of those will be a compulsory question. So you cannot completely skip it. So you got to know what it is, but it's very simple. So in terms of marriage, what do you have? So I have a marriage here. What different types do I know? This one you must have known, right? And in this also we have serial monogamy. We actually will make it like this. So if there is serial monogamy, what should you have? Non-serial monogamy. Okay. In polygamy, how many do you know?
Polygamy, polyandry.
Poly. One more. Poly. Okay. So this is polygyny. It's pronounced as polygyny. Okay. But it's fun to say polygyny. Okay. There is polyandry and there is polygynandry. So even here, so in polygamy, sorry, polygyny or polygyny. Okay, I'm saying it wrong. You say it right. Okay, so you have sororal. What is sorority?
Sisterhood.
Yeah, it's sisterhood, right? It's like fraternity and the female version of that. So you have non-sororal. And then here you will have fraternal. And you'll have non-fraternal. So these are the many different types. Okay, so what we have to do now is to go through each of these and be able to understand them. And a lot of these things you would already know. What is monogamy?
Being married to one person at a time.
Yeah, so it's a form of marriage in which an individual has a single spouse at a given time. Okay, do I have to write this? No need, right? You'll just make a note, right? What do you want me to write it?
It's okay, sir. I think we'll manage.
Okay. I'll just give it in shorthand, okay? These are not definitions here. You should be able to answer them, okay, with the least number of words. Okay, form of marriage in which, okay, in which an individual has a single spouse, okay, at a given time. So in this one, we have serial. So what is serial monogamy?
I think when a person marries someone else when the spouse passes away. So
Yeah, of course. So you know, like you've seen like all these series and parallel, okay, circuits, right? But the same thing, okay, one after the other. That's all. So you have a single spouse Okay, single spouse. Sorry, but think of an example for this. What should you do for this to be called a serial, and how do you differentiate it from the next one? Several spouses in succession, though. So at any one point, you still have a single spouse. Got it? So, for instance, you
Yeah.
could possibly have the death of a partner, right? Or you could have a divorce and then you get married. Okay. If you are married again and again and again, okay, you still are part of monogamy, right? But serial monogamy and non serial monogamy. So, what will this be?
Single partner throughout life, no matter what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So, lifelong. So, in our society, what do we have?
Serial.
Both, sir, depends.
So, the first question is, what is our society?
A group of people.
No, what if I say our society? Why cannot it be the Muslims? Do they have monogamy? So let us say the South Indian Hindus, which I believe all of you guys are part of, right? What will you have here? According to our law, okay, Hindu Marriage Act 1950s, right? So what do you have? We can have serial monogamy. We can have serial monogamy. And let's say there is no death, there is no divorce, you are with the same person, you can have non-serial monogamy. Okay, generally you will see this a lot more common in like previous generations. Let's say your grandparent generation, the previous generation before that, because especially during childbirth, the mother will pass away, or probably some kind of disease outbreak or something like that, right? Okay, but now with all the medical advancements and all that, it is a lot more common to see this unless there is a divorce. Okay, so that is that. In polygamy, what are the ones that we talked about? So first thing is multiple spouses at any given time. Okay, so first I'm going to discuss so what is this here? Where could this be prevalent?
Muslim
Right.
community.
Okay, so amongst the Muslims, of course, they don't have this law that monogamy should be prevalent, right? Unless, because we don't have, what is that? Civil, Article 44 is what? Common civil law, uniform civil law, uniform civil code, right? However, if you're in the West, regardless of your religious beliefs, you can have only one wife at a time. Okay, now you can have the other person as not a wife, okay, not a legally accepted wife, or a social approval, or the cultural sanction, the same terms that we had seen previously, right? You could have that because have you guys heard of this LDS community? LDS, Latter Day Saints, Church of the Latter Day Saints. Have you heard of the Mormons?
No, sir.
Okay, so they are I mean, they are there in many parts. Have you guys heard of Mitt Romney, the one who contested against Obama?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've heard of Mitt Romney, right? So he is part of this Mormon community. So they have certain rules that after their college, or generally during their college, 2 years they have to go and spend in proselytizing activities and all that in different parts. So they'll go to South America, they'll go to some islands, and so those kind of places. But sometimes they just go around wherever. Okay, but they have to spend 2 years. But they also used to have this philosophy of having multiple wives. So some of them are still, but it got outlawed. I think it's been quite some time since it got outlawed. But they do believe in it. Okay, some do practice it also. Okay, so they can have multiple wives, but it is still not given legal sanction. Okay, so in amongst Indian tribes also it used to be. quite common. So I'll put Naga, or you mentioned Muslims, you can have any such examples. Okay, at the end of the day, you need to know only one example. Gond is an example, Baiga is an example. You have, okay, but all you have to do is remember one. Okay, in this one, we talked about two, sororal and non-sororal. From the name, it is evident. What is it?
Marrying the sisters.
Marriage.
Yeah, so, Anjali, you were saying something?
Same thing, yeah.
Okay, and so non-sororal will be? Which one do you think is more common? Or which one seems a little more realistic? Which one do you think is going to bring less social conflict? Or
Sororal.
is it? Sisters will be okay sharing the husband?
Okay, it means either sister gets ill or much better than other person. Right?
Okay, so more so than
From a different family.
yeah. If I have to share it, okay, if I have to share him, I'd rather share it with my sisters than with some others. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. So generally these what they call themselves? They are co-wives. Okay. In some you have sisters, in some they're not sisters. Generally, okay, and again there is no this is not it's not uniform, okay, everywhere. But when they're not sisters, they tend to have separate living quarters. Okay, however, when you have sororal co-wives, okay, almost always they live together. Okay, so things like that. So there are there are some. I'll give you some examples. See, it's always best to remember Indian examples, okay, because it'll help you in paper 2 also. But I can give you anything that you want. See, for instance, here in sororal, right, you can have some Kerala tribes. Okay, for instance, Urali. Okay, but in case you want something else, Crow Indians. Okay, in non-sororal, like there are many examples. Okay, Tonga. See, in this non-sororal is a lot more common. Okay, wherever you have it, if a guy has multiple wives, then you can say it is non-sororal polygamy, right? Okay, so this will be a lot more common. So if I say, somebody said, right, that you will have, you want to place Muslims. Where will you place Muslims in case they do practice polygamy?
Non-sororal.
Non-sororal.
Okay, they don't marry sisters, is it?
Don't know, sir. Maybe they don't.
Okay. Okay, and also in many of these communities there are very strict rules. Okay, so that there is less, again, social conflict, or conflict within the family. Generally, the ones who are married early, okay, as in the senior wives, okay, the senior most of the co-wives, she will have a lot more of social or special prestige. Okay, so like for instance, amongst the Tongas, she is called the chief wife. Okay, and her house is like very pretty much like right next to the husband's. Okay, and is also called house of the father. Okay, the other ones are called, like she's called chief wife, the other ones will be called small wives. Okay, and they'll be a little farther away, it'll be to the other side of it'll be in the other direction. So there are many of these things. Okay, but it seems that the secondary wives, and through more marriages happening, it might seem to enhance the jealousy of the secondary wives. Okay, the later wives are usually favored somewhat because they tend to be younger, probably better looking, probably whatever it is. Okay, sometimes so the fact that the elder wife, okay, is getting less attention is like a compensation for her loss of attention from the husband. So the whole point that I'm trying to say here is, You develop socio-cultural mechanisms to deal with all these complications. So culture is nothing but a problem-solving mechanism. So you try to find ways to, and like for instance, there are other communities. Okay, so they have these strict rules on like how a husband has to spend equal amount of time at each place. Okay, so it may require the husband to spend a day with each of the co-wife. Okay, in succession. Okay, and failure to do so will also cause, there are certain rules, and you'll probably have some penalties. Okay, within the family. Okay, it can call up divorce and other kind of things also. Okay, so a lot of these things are there. So behind the scenes there are many things, but again, not so important. So this is your polygamy. Oh, okay, so what is next? So we talked about these two. Okay, now we'll go to polyandry. So have you guys heard of polyandry? What is this?
Multiple husbands to one wife, one woman.
Okay, why so? ఎందుకు?
The same reason a man has multiple wives.
It can be because of competition as well in some societies.
Okay, that's interesting. Can you just elaborate on that? Competition as in competition between and for what?
Yeah, competition as in the sex ratio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put it as shortage of women. See, something has got to force men to share one wife, right? There's got to be something. Okay, possibly you have no other option, but in case you want to be married, okay, you've got to share it with somebody else. If that is the case, then possibly okay. Can you think of any examples for this? Have you ever anywhere heard of such thing? One wife, multiple husbands.
Draupadi, sir.
Okay, Draupadi. Was this because of shortage of women?
No, sir.
So, what was the idea?
Because they were supposed to share whatever, as in, because Arjuna's mother says he has to share whatever he gets with his brothers, so that's why.
Okay, so the story
So it
goes
has
that
nothing to do with short.
so it has nothing to do with shortage of women. Okay, and especially for Pandavas, okay, there is no shortage of women, right? Because they are most eligible bachelors, isn't it? Now the story goes that initial part, okay, it seems like maybe a lot of this thing is based on some elements of reality, right? So maybe there were two different clans that were fighting against each other, probably not two different clans, but two different lineages fighting against each other. Okay, so there is some form of reality here. So they say that possibly if you have such things prevalent in these stories, okay, during that time, maybe in such communities or whichever, look, maybe this is the greater tradition, right? It's the main groups at that particular point of time, they may be okay with this kind of custom. However, once you brought in all the Vedic this thing, and you bring a lot more uniformity in the way the Hindu society functions, there were people adding those didactic portions, okay, meaning the instructive or the philosophical elements, okay, the analysis elements, in which they try to give explanations for why this was so. Okay, meaning, so it must have been prevalent during that particular period of time. After that, it must have fallen out of favor. Okay, and during that particular time, when you're still reading this particular story, you have to give a reason for why it happened. So you add like one kind of plot twist. So this is one way of thinking about this. Now if I say Draupadi plus the five Pandavas, okay, then Todas. Have you guys heard of Todas?
Yes.
Okay, Todas of Nilgiris. Okay, now what do they have? Do they have fraternal polyandry? Just give me 1 second. I'm kind of feeling hungry. I need to munch on something. Okay, so what is fraternal polyandry?
It's basically the brothers sharing the
Yeah.
women.
Okay.
The
So
married
just look at what you've written in the previous one. Just change the female to the male and the male to the female, right? Okay. So
Yep.
in which multiple husbands of a woman are brothers. Okay. So non-fraternal will be these todas of Nilgiris. No, they're an example of fraternal polyandry. It is believed that, see, first of all, todas, okay, seem to have. I know it's very noisy for you guys with me and my biscuits, but I hope to not chew too loud. But my tummy is making some rumbling noises, so I need to add something. Okay, so the todas had lesser, female population. Okay, one of the reasons that is believed to have such a low sex ratio in that particular community is that they would have practiced female infanticide. Okay, and there are some accounts of that as well. Okay, it's a very small community, around 1200 or something like that. I don't know if you guys have seen. Have you guys seen pictures of todas? I think you would
Yes.
have seen. Okay, so they wear those putukuli blankets and all that. So, you know, I studied in the Nilgiris, so they stay somewhere there. And you can see, maybe next time I'll just show you some pictures, or you can just Google it, right? Like they have certain kind of a home, okay, in a small little hut without any windows, okay. And there are many such stories that they told us when we visit them. For instance, outside their hut, there will be like a bar, okay, where you can hang your, walking stick or, that buffalo grazing stick. Okay, if that stick is there, okay, then the other brothers know that, okay, this particular brother is currently with the wife. Okay, so they don't bother, kind of thing. So there are many, many fun things to know about that particular one. Okay, so that is fraternal and there is non-fraternal. There is another one which is your polygynandry. Okay, it is also a form of polygamy. Okay, in which a one second. And there are a variety of reasons why this is prevalent. Okay, it could be because families are poor. Okay, it could be because there is prestige element with the number of spouses. It could also be a matter of power. Okay, it could also be an adaptation to limited resources in that particular area. Some actually classify this as an example of, or there's something called group marriage. What is group marriage?
multiple wives and multiple husbands. Maybe.
Okay, several men and women are married together. Okay, now this is also a form. Some people put this in this particular classification. Okay, some classify it differently. Okay, an example is some of the Eskimo groups. Okay, Eskimo is not a term that Eskimos use for themselves. Okay, this is what the Europeans had called the people living, okay, in the Arctic region of North America. There's also another concept called fictive marriage. Okay, ghost marriage. Have you heard of this? I think you must have. So it is a form of marriage in which there is a proxy. So for instance, let us say there is a woman. Okay, she's married to somebody. Now let's say this particular somebody, the husband, okay, he's dead, but he has a brother. This dead man's brother, he becomes the proxy and marries the woman on his behalf. Now let's say this particular woman has a child. Okay, for all practical purposes, the father is dead person, but she is fathered by the brother. What do I mean by this? This is the biological father. Generally, they do not want the wife to go away. Okay, because in, you know, a woman in a particular family is a resource. Okay, she's not only a resource in terms of gathering. Okay, she's also a resource in terms of reproductive ability. Okay, so let's say there is agriculture, pastoralism, something like that. You need more men or more people. Okay, so this particular person has been paid for and brought into this wedding. Now, just because this her husband passed away, you cannot let go of this great economic resource. So what do? You keep her in the family. Okay, technically she's married off here. Okay, but considered as this guy's wife only. Now, this particular one is called ghost marriage. Why so? This girl is born, okay, is considered to be born as a legitimate offspring of the dead man's spirit. So I hope you're understanding what I'm saying here. Not what happens, but what could be the reason behind it. Once you understand that, you will be able to write better. Okay, and you will be able to remember better. Did you get it? The reason why is that she's an economic resource. See, now this is not always true in all societies, right? Sometimes women are, especially in patriarchal Indian community, women are considered a burden, isn't it? But they're an economic resource in many of the simpler societies. Yes, somebody was saying something.
So here the baby is born to the dead man's brother, right?
Yes, he's the biological father. As in, it's this guy's semen and this girl's egg have fertilized and this thing is born, this little girl.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So despite the dead man, this could be even like 10 years ago, does not matter. She's still considered as this guy's wife. Okay, and this daughter is going to call this guy as the father for all social purposes. So the dead man's brother is only as proxy. He marries the woman on behalf of the brother to keep her there. And the children born out of this particular union okay, between this girl and this girl, are considered as a legitimate offspring of the dead man's spirit, this dead man's spirit. Done? Everybody understood this? Hope this video has helped you link the local with the global, the past with the present sociocultural practices, and also helped you understand and appreciate the diversity of human societies across space and across time. If there's any other aspect of anthropology that you would like to know more about, do let us know in the comment section, and we will definitely try to make videos on it. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.